In Nigeria, in 1962, a 4-year-old boy lost his father. His family had been poor before. Now, with a widowed mother and 4 children to feed, and no income, they were desperate. So this little boy did not get to be a child. By the age of 6, he was pulled out of school and sent into the streets to sell bean cakes, so that his family might have something to eat that night. Years later, describing just how deep that poverty went, he would say a sentence you do not forget. He said, "I was born poor. I picked food off the ground." He would scoop up scraps of leftover yam after everyone else had finished eating. That barefoot boy, hawking food in the dust, owned almost nothing in this world. And yet that same boy would grow up to build one of the largest companies in his entire country. He would become the man who put an entire nation's wealthy behind the wheel of some of the most expensive cars on earth. And the business that made all of it possible, he started with the equivalent of a little over $1. How does a hungry orphan picking food off the ground become that man? Stay with me, because this answer is the most powerful thing that anyone who feels stuck at the bottom could ever hear.
This is FireTold.
His name is Cosmas Maduka. After his father died, his mother was left to raise 4 children alone with nothing. And in that house, there was no such thing as a child who did not work. He has said that from around the age of 5, his mother made sure every one of them contributed something to keep the family alive. So while other children were in a classroom, little Cosmos was on his feet in the streets, selling akara, fried bean cakes, balancing a tray and calling out to strangers, handing over the few coins he made to his mother at the end of each day. Sit with that picture for a moment. No father, no schooling past the first few years, no money, no connections, no safety net of any kind. By almost every measure the world uses to predict a person's future, this boy had already lost before he began. If you have ever felt that life handed you a worse starting hand than everyone around you, this is the man to watch, because he was dealt one of the worst hands imaginable, and he did not decide a single thing about how his story would end. Still just a boy, Cosmos was sent away to learn a trade under his uncle, who dealt in motorcycle and motor spare parts. This was a known part in his world. A boy serves his master for years, learns the trade inside out, and at the end, the master is meant to settle him, to set him up with the money to start his own business. That was the deal. That was the dream at the end of all those years of unpaid labor. So Cosmos worked. He learned the spare parts business from the ground up, and somewhere in those years, as a young man, he found a deep Christian faith, the faith that would anchor every decision for the rest of his life. But when his time under his uncle came to an end, the dream of being properly settled did not come true. He was sent away with just 200 naira to his name. After all those years, that was it. He had a trade in his hands, a ferocious work ethic, a fierce faith, and almost no money at all. Most people, handed that, would have called it the end. For Cosmas Maduka, it was barely the beginning. His first attempt did not work. He teamed up with a friend and started a small spare parts venture together, and it failed. The first business of the boy who had nothing collapsed. He did not stop. In 1977, Cosmas Maduka tried again. This time, he founded his own company, selling auto spare parts, and he started with around 300 naira. At the time, that was worth a little over $1. He gave the company a name by joining his name, Cosmos, with the name of the woman he would soon marry, Charity. He called it Coscharis. From a little over $1, in a tiny corner of the spare parts trade, with a failed business already behind him, Cosmas Maduka began quietly to build. But the climb nearly killed the dream before it started. Early on, disaster struck. A single bad shipment, the wrong consignment of goods, went so wrong it nearly wiped him out completely. The whole fragile thing he had built teetered on the edge of collapse. And here is where you see the boy with the tray again. Cosmos did not fold. He did whatever it took to survive, scraping money together however he could. In one account, even renting out a weighing scale at the local market, just to keep cash coming in. The same raw survival instinct that once picked food up off the ground now kept the struggling company alive. He rebuilt, and then the door he had been waiting for swung open. In the early 1980s, the Nigerian government granted official import licenses to a small handful of motor companies, and Coscharis, the business that started with a little over $1, was one of the names on that list. That was the moment everything changed. With the door open, Coscharis exploded from a spare parts stall into a powerhouse. And in 1998, Cosmas Maduka won the exclusive right to sell BMW, the German luxury car maker, across all of Nigeria. Stop and picture that fully. The boy who once picked scraps of yam off the ground to survive was now the man who put an entire nation's most successful people behind the wheel of some of the most expensive cars in the world. And he did not stop at cars. He built the Coscharis group into a sprawling conglomerate, reaching into agriculture, with a vast rice farm and mill helping to feed the country, into manufacturing, and far beyond. Forbes magazine looked at what he had built and gave him a title, the $500 million survivor. He has since said that if his company were ever listed publicly, he would be worth billions. His nation has honored him with some of its highest awards. So look at the full distance this man traveled. An orphan at 4, hawking food in the street at 6, picking leftovers up off the ground to eat, no real schooling, sent away from his apprenticeship, with 200 naira. His first business, a failure, and from a little over $1, he built one of the largest and most respected companies in his entire country. And if you ask Cosmas Maduka now, he will not point first to the cars or the licenses or the luck. He will tell you he never walked a single step of that road alone. That through every failure and every near ruin, his faith carried him. It is the thread he ties the whole impossible story to. The boy who had nothing built almost everything, and he is still standing. So here is what I need you to take from this. Where you begin has nothing to do with where you are allowed to end. Cosmas Maduka started with less than almost everyone who will ever watch this. Orphaned, hungry, unschooled, dismissed with pocket change. His very first business failed, and not one of those things was a sentence, because he refused to read them as one. The only question that ever truly mattered was not where he started, it was whether he would keep building from exactly wherever he was standing. Look across all of these stories. A woman who built quietly and kept it. An old man who started at 65. A patient builder who let go of the easy money. They all share this one bone, and Maduka is the purest proof of it. The dollar of excuses sitting in your hand right now and the dollar that Cosmas Maduka built an empire with are the very same dollar. The only difference is what you decide to do with it. You were not given a war starting hand that you can win with. You were just told a lie about what your starting hand means. Stay late, build quietly. If this story moved you, send it to the one person you know who believes that where they came from has already decided where they will end up. They need to hear this today. Next time on FireTold, I want to tell you about a man who got the exact opposite of everything you just heard. He did not build his fortune slowly, over decades, from nothing. He won it overnight. The single largest jackpot anyone had ever won at the time. More than $300 million on one ticket. And within just a few short years, that money had taken from him almost everything he truly loved. Subscribe so you do not miss it. Because the people we admire were not born, they were built.
This is FireTold.